In today's recap video, we're going to see a horror film where a father watches his 7-year-old daughter die in front of his eyes after getting hit by a car, and then, to get her back from dead, ends up summoning a demon that takes form of her dead daughter. But before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our latest movie recap videos. In 1943, we see Samuel Mullins, who is a doll maker, creating a porcelain doll for what is intended to be a limited edition run of only 100 dolls, but the run ends up being far larger. While he is working on the dolls, his daughter Annabelle, who goes by the nickname B, slides a note under the door to his studio with the words "Find me." After that, he travels to the house, where he discovers another letter that simply says "Closer." When Mr. Mullins sees movement behind the curtains, he flips the note over and writes "Found you" on the reverse side before placing it on the escritoire and slipping out of the room. B gets out of her hiding spot and is caught by her father. Then we see her father and her mother begin to tickle her. They were on their way back from church when one of the tires got a hole in it, so they pulled over to change it. During the attempt, B, who was 7 years old at the time, picks up a screw that rolls into the road. Just as she was about to pick it up, a passing automobile struck her and killed her. 12 years later, in 1955, the Mullins opened their house to a group of orphan girls who had previously been in a Catholic orphanage that had closed down. Two of the girls, Janice and her closest friend Linda, have taken an oath stating that the parents who adopt either one of them or none of them must choose to adopt both of them or neither of them. When the girls and their sister Charlotte arrive, Mr. Mullins was there to welcome them all. He tells them that Esther, his wife, has become bedridden as a result of their recent health problems. He exhibits a stair lift that he created for Mrs. Mullins after she became unable to climb stairs due to her physical condition. Janice, who has suffered from polio and is largely immobilized as a result of the disease, is given permission to test out the stair lift. She then proceeds to B's old room, which is now secured with a lock after being provided with a bed to sleep in on the second level. Janice is informed by Mr. Mullins that access to that room is restricted to only themselves. Janice is startled awake one night by a disturbance, and when she investigates, she discovers a message that reads "Find me." She then proceeds to B's room, where she discovers that the door is no longer locked. She says a prayer to God asking for forgiveness for a sin that she is going to do before she goes in. She opens it up, and there is a miniature dollhouse inside, as well as the key to the closet. She then opens it and discovers a doll inside of it. The following day, Janice goes to her sister Charlotte to confess her sin of entering B's room and tells her about discovering a doll in the closet. She also informs her sister about finding the doll. Charlotte engages in conversation with her over the matter, but ultimately informs her that she is absolved of her crimes and instructs her to carry out the process of unpacking 3 boxes as an act of penance. Janice then goes to the room that leads into Mullins' room and overhears a conversation between Charlotte and Mrs. Mullins. Mrs. Mullins tells Charlotte about B's death, but Charlotte tells Mrs. Mullins that B is waiting for them in heaven. Mrs. Mullins then responds that she wishes it was true. Janice then goes to the room that leads into Mullins' bed. Janice discovers a picture of B holding the doll that she discovered the previous night in the wardrobe. During the course of the night, strange occurrences start to take place in the house. The gramophone in B's room starts to play, although there is no one else in the room at the time. Janice goes to examine the situation and finds Linda already present. Linda informs Janice that she is not authorized to be in that area. In response, Linda states that neither Janice should be present prior to her departure. After then, she notices that there is someone else in the room that resembles Annabelle. When Janice asks B if she needs anything, B turns around and replies, "Your soul," revealing that she is actually a demon that has seized B's form. Janice makes an effort to flee, but while she is attempting to do so in the stair lift, it suddenly stops halfway up the flight of stairs, and the thing picks her up and then throws her to the ground. Because of the injury she incurred, Janice is unable to walk in any capacity at all. She then on to tell Charlotte about her experience with the demonic power, to which Charlotte responds by stating that the devil preys on the weak and that Janice is on par with the other people in terms of strength. She and the others are able to escape, but Janice must leave the building using a wheelchair. During the time that Janice was outside, a demonic entity that had taken the form of Charlotte pushed her into the shed and then destroyed her wheelchair. After being unable to flee, the demon is successful in taking possession of Janice. This causes Linda concern because she has observed shifts in her behavior as a result. After that, Linda discloses to Mr. Mullins that Janice did, in fact, enter B's bedroom. After that, Janice, who now possesses the ability to walk through the demonic possession, goes into the dining room, where she discovers Mullins and then transforms into a demon and kills him. In the middle of the night, Linda creeps up to where Janice is resting and steals the doll. She then makes her way to a well in the fields that surround the Mullins home, where she intends to throw the doll in. Linda is surprised to see Charlotte, who instructs her to return to the house. However, Linda does return to the well, where she is attacked by Janice, who then tries to pull her down. Linda is rescued by Charlotte, who then plugs the well before the two of them flee back to the house. When Linda goes to notify Janice that the doll has been taken away, she is surprised to discover it lying on the couch instead. After asking the other girls to locate Janice, Charlotte takes the doll and enters Mrs. Mullins' room. Once inside, Mrs. Mullins instructs Charlotte to keep the doll at a safe distance from her and to leave the door open. Mullins explains that after Annabelle passed away, the family prayed to any influential figure or force in the hopes that they would be able to see their daughter again. She describes how it started out slowly, with only sounds emanating from Bee's bedroom at first. After that, it pleaded with them to let it move into the doll so that it could be with them indefinitely. They responded in the affirmative, at which point Bee's presence grew more pronounced and took on a discernible form. However, the delight that they had at having life in the house again was short-lived as they came to the realization that the entity was not actually their daughter, but rather a demon that was using her shape in order to seek out a soul to possess. While the demon was trying to steal Mrs. Mullins' soul, he attacked her one day and tore out her right eye in his bid to get inside her. They used sheets from the Bible to paper the inside of the closet in Bee's room so that they might surround the evil. After that, a priest blessed the space with holy water, placed the doll inside, and then made the sign of the cross in front of it before Mr. Mullins closed the door. They made the decision to open their home to the orphans as a form of atonement, but they now regret the decision because it provided the devil with an opportunity to steal a soul. When the girls came across Janice, she was enjoying a tea party with the doll, and they informed her that it was only them. Then, while holding a knife, Janice informs them it is time to abstain from their sinful ways. As they rush down the stairs, Charlotte hears the girl shrieking, and Nancy reveals to Charlotte that Janice sliced her arm. Charlotte then runs after them. The girls are to stay together and Charlotte has given Carol orders to get assistance. After making the call, they entered the bedroom of the Mullins house and discovered that Mrs. Mullins had been crucified and cut in half. As soon as Janice entered the room, Charlotte informed the girls that it was time for them to say goodbye. During the process of Charlotte retrieving a crucifix necklace and attempting to perform an exorcism on Janice, Charlotte is lifted off the ground and hurled into a mirror. They scream and flee out of the bedroom in sheer terror. While Linda is attempting to flee, she trips and falls, which causes her to be dragged down the floor. Janice tries to hand Kate her knife while telling her that she can assist Kate as the other females are telling Kate to find help. After that, Kate flees and Linda takes cover in the room by herself. After that, the surviving females go to Mullins' truck where they discover that the vehicle would not start. They also observe that the scarecrow gives the impression of moving. Janice is attempting to access the room in where Linda is hidden, while Linda is attempting to flee using a goods lift at the same time. The girls who are still alive make their way to the barn. After Carol has entered the room, the other two girls look inside and see the scarecrow, but then the door suddenly closes on its own, and neither of the girls is able to open it again. As a demon emerges from the scarecrow to take control of it, two light bulbs unscrew themselves and fall to the ground. Before Carol could hear the bell ringing, she had just finished screwing the third one back into the light. Then, the hand of a devil shatters the bulb and begins to harass Carol, who runs inside the workshop for refuge. Hearing that Janice is attempting to enter the room, Linda makes an attempt to flee by exiting through the freight lift. She makes her way down to the basement and enters a room where she finds the dead body of a young woman. Because the devil is trying to stop Linda from escaping, she is compelled to climb the remaining heights of the shaft in order to reach safety. The body, which turns out to be Janice, continues to move towards Linda as she makes her escape through the lift. She finds the door open and exits, where she discovers that Janice has slashed the face of her doll Sweet Sue, informing her that it looks like her. Bee's room has a wardrobe, so Linda runs into there to hide when she's scared. Janice ultimately locates Linda, who makes an attempt to flee but is prevented from doing so after being warned that anyone who breaks a vow will be sent to hell. Charlotte, who has recovered consciousness after her earlier attempt to exorcise the doll's spirit was unsuccessful, appears while cradling the doll. Janice, who was attempting to stab Charlotte, instead stabbed the doll that Charlotte was using as a barrier. After that, Janice pushed Charlotte and the doll into the closet and then tipped a glass closet in front of the door. Following that, a number of supernatural occurrences start to take place, such as the furniture and toys in Bee's room being pushed around and the lights flickering as Linda and Charlotte run out of the house. They make their way outside to meet up with the remaining girls just as the light bulbs on the outdoor lighting begin to burst. At a safe distance, one can hear the sound of police sirens in anticipation of the arrival of the sheriff. The sheriff discovers the doll, but Janice has made her way out of the building through a hole. The priest will next perform a house blessing before announcing that the evil no longer exists in the home. The priest tells the girls that the doll used to be a conduit for the evil, but that it is now just a doll before asking if anyone wants it. The girls are curious about the doll. The sheriff is the only one who does not leave with it, so he takes it with him. The group of people, including Sister Charlotte, the priest, and the girls, then depart. In the meantime, Janice, who is still possessed and has become reclusive, is moved to an orphanage in Santa Monica despite the fact that she did not want to go there. Pete and Sharon Higgins, a married couple, decide to adopt Janice, who changes her name to Annabelle after the adoption. 12 years after the events that took place at Mullins Estate, in the year 1967, a picture of the Higgins family with their newly adopted daughter Annabelle is shown, followed by a succession of pictures depicting Annabelle in her late childhood, teens, and adult age. A creaking sound can be heard in the background, and there is a glimpse of a woman who is a reflection of Annabelle when she was an adult. The commotion is enough to rouse up Sharon. Pete departs to conduct an investigation interaction while simultaneously informing Sharon to contact the authorities. The next thing that happens is that Annabelle, who along with her lover is a member of a satanic sect, slashes Pete. Annabelle gives Sharon a friendly greeting just before Sharon's boyfriend assaults and kills her. Their next-door neighbor Mia witnesses this interaction, which prompts her to wake up her husband John, therefore setting the scenario for the events of Annabelle. In a sequence that occurs after the credits have rolled and takes place in the Carta Monastery in Romania in the year 1952, the demon nun, Valak, is seen strolling through a hall that is lit with candles that extinguish as it passes by, and then the screen goes black. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and watch our other videos as well. Till then, see you on the next video.